I've always considered myself an avid reader, especially when it comes to the esoteric and the arcane. My days were often spent poring over ancient tomes and obscure manuscripts, seeking inspiration for my next novel. The hunt for the perfect story was an exhilarating journey, one that led me to places most people would never dare to explore. It was on a particularly gloomy afternoon when I stumbled upon it. The bookshop was hidden away in a narrow alley, its facade as ancient as the books it contained. I had been there countless times, always leaving with some rare find or another, but this time, something was different. In the furthest corner of the shop, behind rows of dusty volumes, I found a manuscript. It was bound in cracked, dark leather with strange symbols etched into its cover. There was no title, no author, just an overwhelming sense of dread that seemed to emanate from it. Intrigued, I took it home, eager to uncover its secrets. As I carefully turned its yellowed pages, I realized it was unlike anything I had ever seen. The manuscript detailed dark rituals and spells, their language archaic, and their meanings cryptic. Despite the ominous nature of the text, I felt a strange compulsion to continue reading, to understand the forbidden knowledge it contained. Days turned into weeks as I immersed myself in the manuscript. My writing desk became a shrine to its dark wisdom, each page revealing more about the sinister rituals it described. I began incorporating elements of these rituals into my new book, crafting a narrative that was as captivating as it was terrifying. But as I wrote, something unsettling began to happen. It started with small things. The shadows in my room seemed to move on their own, flickering in the corner of my vision. Unexplained cold drafts would sweep through my study, chilling me to the bone. At night I was plagued by nightmares, vivid and horrifying, filled with the dark figures and malevolent forces I had been writing about. I brushed these incidents off as the result of an overactive imagination. After all, I had been engrossed in a world of dark magic and ancient curses for weeks. It was only natural that my mind would play tricks on me, but the occurrences grew more frequent and more disturbing. Objects in my house would move on their own, whispers would echo through the halls, and I began to feel a constant, oppressive presence watching me. But as I reached for it, the pages seemed to turn on their own, revealing a passage I had not seen before. It was a spell of summoning, one that promised power and knowledge beyond comprehension. Despite my fear, I was drawn to it, the temptation too great to resist. I began to recite the incantation, my voice trembling as I spoke the ancient words. The room grew darker, the shadows deeper, and a cold wind howled through the open window. As I finished the last word, there was a deafening silence. Then from the darkness emerged a figure cloaked in black, its eyes glowing with an eerie light. I backed away, but the figure advanced, its presence overwhelming. I realized too late that I had unleashed something far beyond my control, something that had been waiting, biding its time within the manuscript. In a desperate bid to save myself, I grabbed the manuscript and hurled it into the fireplace. Flames engulfed it, the dark leather curling and blackening. The figure let out a spine-chilling scream, its form flickering as the manuscript burned. With a final, agonizing cry, it vanished, leaving me alone in the silent room. Relief washed over me, but it was short-lived. As the fire died down, I noticed something amidst the ashes. It was a small, unburned fragment of the manuscript with a single line of text still legible. The ritual is complete. When it cleared, I found myself standing in the same room, but it was no longer my study. It was a vast, dark chamber filled with ancient books and arcane artifacts. A voice echoed through the chamber, cold and commanding. "You have completed the ritual and sealed your fate. Welcome to the Order of the Manuscript, Guardian." I looked down at my hands and saw they were no longer my own. They were aged, withered, and marked with the same symbols that adorned the manuscript. I realized with a shock that I had been transformed, bound to the manuscript's power, and now part of an ancient order of guardians who protected its secrets. The surprise ending was clear. The manuscript wasn't just a book, it was a gateway, a test for those who dared to seek its knowledge. And now I was its new guardian, destined to watch over it and guide the next curious soul who would uncover its dark secrets, ensuring the cycle continued for eternity.